This video should be viewed as a supplement to reading the more detailed report covering the 2011 leadership mission to Azerbaijan. Our host arranged for us to stay at the Republika Hotel in Baku. Originally, it was a Soviet hotel, but it has recently been upgraded to 5-star status by its present owners, the government of Azerbaijan. Day 1. Breakfast was served in a restaurant on the 10th floor of the hotel. The view is of the Caspian Sea looking east at sunrise. Our leadership mission was made up of 11 representatives from 10 World Affairs Councils, plus the organization's president and CEO, Dr. Laurie Murray. Our host organization was the Center for Strategic Studies under the President of the Republic. The purpose of our visit was to obtain first-hand knowledge of Azerbaijan through people-to-people diplomacy. For the next 5 days, we were to meet with leading officials of the government, industry, universities, news organizations, as well as the United States ambassador to Azerbaijan. The meetings were to be followed by a weekend trip to Lankaran and Larik, 2 cities in a region bordering Iran. Breakfast and plans for the day. In our minivan, on our way to visit Martyrs Lane, a cemetery and memorial in Baku. Baku is a city that has recently decided to grow vertically rather than continue its lateral sprawl. Whereas the mayor of the old city has put into effect control over vehicular access, the remainder of Baku has no such restraints. Gridlock is a normal condition, with drivers escaping by driving against the traffic on one-way streets. Martyrs Lane in Baku is dedicated to those killed by the Soviet Army during Black January 1990, pursuant to the state of emergency during the dissolution of the Soviet Union. It remains one of the few occasions during Glasnost and Perestroika in which the USSR used force against dissidents.
How fast does the flag wear out?
Something like.
I mean, it was built like 2 months ago.
Yeah, but they changing it like twice. I think till this day they change it 3 or 4 times.
Under construction are the flame towers, built to symbolize the actual flames from the country's energy history. They offer a stark contrast to the nearby minarets. We then drove to the cemetery in which many of the country's former elite are buried. This includes the former president, Haydar Aliyev.
Before him, probably you know that story better than me. Before him, the west coast of Caspian. I mean, during the Soviet time, no Western country was allowed to set a foot on Caspian. With him, you actually have the ability to not just export oil, but actually just come here. So that's something different from even the other states of the Caspian. I mean, not Iran, not Russia, not Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan. So that's one of the things.
Meeting and dinner with the executive director of the State Oil Fund of the Republic of Azerbaijan. It was held at the mansion built by Robert Nobel, brother of Alfred Nobel, inventor of dynamite. The fund was established with the understanding that oil in the ground belongs both to the present as well as future generations. Day 2. Education is a major industry in the country. According to a United Nations report, 99% of the population are literate. Although there are serious problems with primary and secondary education, there is a serious effort to improve universities. One shining example is the Azerbaijan Diplomatic Academy. Its dean has a vision for a corruption-free institution offering both diplomatic and business degrees.
So I was just telling our guests that we have been established as a small training school for diplomatic corps, but because the country is developing so fast and education sector needs new universities, we have transformed ourselves into a full-scale university. So Dr. Baker has been here with us.
Our next visit was to the headquarters of the Azerbaijani community of Nagorno-Karabakh. Its chairman made a plea for understanding the plight of the 1 million refugees now in these communities.
Okay, he will just give some information about the commute and then you can address your questions.
Bir daha hoş geldiniz diyelim.
Can we get everyone to introduce themselves?
Sure, when you ask questions after him, you can introduce yourself. Sure, yeah.
Hoş geldiniz diyelim bir daha. Bizim için çok önemlidir.
Lunch and vodka toast with the chairman of the Nagorno-Karabakh communities.
Hoş geldiniz.
Day 3, morning meeting with Ali Hassanov, Deputy Prime Minister of Azerbaijan. Obligatory tea served at all of our meetings. Our next visit was to a carpet factory in Baku. This rug contains a map of all the major towns in Azerbaijan making handmade rugs and carpets. Motion picture. It's a motion picture. Day 4, meeting with the chairman of the Democratic Reforms Party.
Emerging country had a tremendous help from the United States. U.S. gave us to protect our statehood. U.S. gave us help also to create a new energy system. The United States helped us not only to work on our offshore oil fields. The United States gave us help to build our new pipeline system, which connecting Caspian for energy resources to Europe, to Mediterranean Sea. And when we talk about that, about mid-90s, Everybody said that you are naive, you never will do that. Russia will never allow you to do that. But with the help of our friends, we did it. And it's working now. When I came to parliament, Azerbaijan's state budget was about $950 million. Just 10 days ago, we add to our budget 4 billion. Now our state budget for this year is more than $20 billion. Why?
Our visit to Gobistan Park, where there are petroglyphs dating back to 10,000 BC.
Let's go do that.
Jerry? Diane? Oh, yeah? We're going to go up there if anyone wants to join us.
We'll
You want to mention it to them?
Meet you back there.
We're gonna walk this way, I think.
Around. You gotta go this way and come back that way. Okay. Never mind.
Don't get too excited. We got another security stop in there. He's having a hell.
There's some of the things like that in Central America.
Enjoying lunch hosted by the Deputy Minister of Youth and Sport. The local wine was excellent, as was the entire meal.
I hope your visit to Azerbaijan is fruitful.
Ve bilirim programımız çok zengin ve gergindi ve mağrur görüşleriniz geçirdi.
I know your program, your agenda is very tough, busy, and you had interesting meetings.
Ve teşekkür ederim teşkilatçılara ki bizimle bu programı sağlasın.
And I also thank to organizers for including us to this program.
Ve hem bilgiye nahar ederek hem de Kürset Festivali kısa da olsa bir Azerbaycan'da gençlerle bağlı, gençler sesine bağlı bir mübadele safalarındayız.
So we'll have lunch.
Dinner and conversation with a group of exceptional students. Our meeting with the Minister of Communications and Information Technology, Day 5.
I will inform you about this is you in our ministry. This is very important meeting for us. I think during our meeting I will provide you some brief information about information communication development in Azerbaijan, in other aspects of our development. And this is free speech. I think if you have some questions, you can ask me, and after that we will discuss any issue which you want. And today I invited my colleagues. He is head of our different departments, and you have very big delegation, and I think you can possibility for discussing any issues. Please.
Thank you for that very warm welcome.
Our delegation was invited to lunch by the U.S. ambassador and his wife. His residence is in an inconspicuous neighborhood of Baku, on an inconspicuous street behind a high wall invisible to passers-by.
Yes, actually.
International affairs, foreign policy.
Seattle.
From Seattle.
Actually, just
One of our students.
A lot of Washington connections in Azerbaijan. It seems like we have
Only 4 months, but we've been coming here for 14 years. Based on Zaino's academic work and policy-related work, my own responsibilities in the government nomination. But I want to tell you that I have used whatever connections we have and insights to fight extremely hard for our own national interests, which sometimes, in fact, usually do overlap with Azerbaijan more than people in the States would think. I mean, if anyone's ever heard of the place. And sometimes don't. And my approach has been to be extremely open and, well, blunt with our Azerbaijani colleagues and friends. And one of those is Elnur Aslanov, who has organized this trip for you. I was just talking to him on the way over, talk to him every couple of days. He is, I think, one of the more hopeful people in this government. He is in the center of power, which makes a lot of people suspicious. But he has made...
Our fifth day in Baku concluded meeting Mr. Nasirov, Vice President of SOCAR, the state oil company of Azerbaijan. His hour-long explanation of the oil and gas industry, pipeline construction, and current problems was worth the visit to Azerbaijan.
So, do you need me to tell you about the oil company, but you had a meeting with Mavsum Shakmar Mavsumov, the head of the oil fund.
Yes.
You had the meetings with Samet Saidov and no other oilers.
No.
So, should I tell you about the oil industry or oil history of the world? I'm not joking. The oil history of the world started not in Pennsylvania, where Colonel Drake hit the first well in 1859, but here in Baku in 1848. It was the first ever industrial well. Then in 1949, within the Soviet Union, we started the first offshore production of oil in the famous oily rocks.
Late in the afternoon, we boarded our minivan for the 4-hour trip to the southern border of the country. Somewhere along the way, a wrong turn cost us an hour-long delay. Long after dark, on the outskirts of Lekkoran, we were joined by a police escort, which led us to our seafront hotel, where an al fresco dinner awaited us.
And I was in cahoots with the taxi driver. And I started driving him away.
Day 6 at our hotel on the coast of the Caspian Sea. Our minivan, a very modern hotel motel. To get to the shore, one had to climb that high walkway which crossed over the railroad tracks. That is the high walkway which left one out of breath. Days 6 and 7, we always had a police escort. Here we are on our way to visit a milk factory.
Burada bir tane toplu fotoğraf çektirebiliriz. Üç yıldır burada işliyorum.
Is that the yogurt we've been eating, Don?
Visiting a local TV station was special, as we were hosted by an energetic group of very bright young men and women. The station is privately owned, receiving its funding from national and regional advertising. We were informed that their broadcasts could be received in northern Iran, thereby countering much negative propaganda coming out of Tehran. Art McAfee, head of our delegation, made a presentation to the key personnel of the station.
More than 90 local councils all around the United States of America. And we have representatives here in Azerbaijan this week from 11 of the councils representing 10 states. And we have been the guest of the Center for Strategic Studies in Baku. They have been wonderful hosts, and they have treated us very fine. We've had the opportunity to meet with senior members of the government of Azerbaijan, from the municipality of the old city of Baku and the state oil company. We've had our doors open to us all throughout the country. And now we are having the opportunity to visit the region of Lenkaran, which is a special treat for all of us. I used to live in Baku for 3 years in the 1990s at the start of the contract of the century. And the changes in Azerbaijan are remarkable, more than remarkable, they're phenomenal. And so I will introduce myself personally. I'm Art McAfee, and I come from Santa Fe, New Mexico. We have people from Maine, Florida, Illinois, Kentucky, California, Michigan, Indiana, New York, and another one from California. And the president of our organization had to leave a day ago, but she's from our national office in Washington, D.C. So it's been a great time. We really enjoyed our time here. And after seeing Lenkaran today, we get to see Larry tomorrow. We were at the dairy and ice cream factory this morning. Well, we were also at a hotel. It was a very fine hotel. But we had dinner last night there on the beach, and we had breakfast this morning. And our rooms are wonderful. Lenkaran has a nice feel to it. It's not a huge city, but it has a nice population size where you have things to do and activities. I think that's a nice middle-sized city.
Members of our delegation couldn't turn down the opportunity of being on the air.
Eat more ice cream.
Dr. Donna.
Barring that.
They want it.
You've got a perfect posture back there.
There you go.
Lunch again al fresco near a running stream. Heading back to Lenkaran.
Well, between the two of you, I was going to crack a joke. I just saw him first.
The central square in Lenkaran. We then visited a memorial museum honoring Azerbaijan's former president, father of the country's present president. Our host, the deputy chief of the region, insisted on our seeing their 15,000-seat football, that is soccer stadium, where members of our delegation spent the next half hour kicking a ball back and forth with some of the stadium guards. The city is proud to host a top-flight professional football team. This very full day closed with dinner in a park-like setting, where we were served some of the finest caviar while overlooking the Caspian Sea.
In the background, solitaire. 1, 2, 3.
In the morning, we drove to Larak, altitude about 6,000 feet, with a population of 8,000. This is the central square. We were taken to a museum dedicated to the longest living inhabitants of the area. One, born in a nearby village, is claimed to have died at the age of 168.
They all have, because
Baksana özür dilerim, bu işleri varsa geçsin işleri. Ben diyebilmedim. Sana bir şey olacak da şurada dedi ki gayet lazım. Hapşırın başı gayet yapamaz.
O tarafta ölmüş yanlar, ötede validem var.
This camera has Valerian village on that.
Saçolar
Instead of medicine, they use only.
Bizim burada biyolog aldığımız zaman bakın neler
On the right is a gentleman born in Larak, who is now a young 80 years old. And on the left is an 87-year-old member of our delegation. Returning from the museum to the central square of Larak. Leaving Larak, we drove south on a very rough dirt road and were able to view the Tayish Mountains on the horizon where the Iranian border is located.
That's good. Water supplying pipe, and it's water from springs. They have World Bank project.
Where he thinks he's going.
Nice break line from the...
Iran is in the distance on the horizon.
I'm coming around.
Come here, please. Come here around me.
Caves occupied during the Stone Age. Our delegation now stands before them.
Waiting on you.
We're waiting for our CIA.
Following lunch, we began the race to return to Baku on a narrow two-lane highway, traveling at speeds of 120 kilometers per hour, passing trucks galore, and once finding our minivan part of a three abreast with nowhere to escape. Fortunately, we were able to dart in after pulling ahead with only a few feet to spare.
Somebody else got into the backseat.
Farm vendors along the highway on our return to Baku. Tired but still ready for a late night snack, we arrived back at our hotel at 10 p.m. Baku was, as always, alive with Azerbaijani youth enjoying the warm June night. Taking off from Baku airport, I wondered if I would ever have a chance to again visit those vibrant young adults, freed from Soviet rule, to build their own vision of a democratic, secular society. This video was filmed and narrated by Donald Prell of Palm Springs, California.